The next one I have here is from Aaliyah, and she writes, what is one piece of advice you have for newbies in CCBR? And along the same lines, I'm thinking not just perhaps newbies at CCBR, which is the organization we work for, the Canadian Centre for Bioethical Reform, but also just newbies in the pro-life movement. Newbies who are going out onto the streets for perhaps the first time, engaging in conversation for perhaps the first time. What is a piece of advice that we would give to people who are new to the movement? Cam, what's one that you would say to those who are new in this? And you've worked with a lot of new people in the internships and training people across Western Canada. So what's that one piece of advice that you've given to people as they've sort of, anticipated that first moment stepping onto the streets and challenging the culture with the truth about abortion?
One thing that I come back to time and time again is encouraging people to reflect on the outcomes of their conversations. I feel like as pro-lifers, we just are all about efficiency. We just want to go bang, 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 bang into conversations. And as soon as we're done, we move on to the next thing, which can be a really good thing. I mean, efficiency, effectiveness often go hand in hand, but I think that there's a level of effectiveness that goes deeper when we talk about quality and not just quantity. And what I mean by that is reflecting for, it might only be a couple seconds or a moment or two after your conversation, or even during your conversation, about where you are seeing success and where you are struggling. I often talk with new volunteers, and the way that I present the pro-life apologetics in the workshops that I'm doing now is really laying out a roadmap for your conversation, how you generally start by bridging the gap with people, talking through the common ground analogy question, and then pivoting over to the humanity of the preborn, the human rights argument that we've talked about several times, Peter, and then, if necessary, talking about the personhood concept of human plus X and how age-based discrimination is not better than any other kind of discrimination. If you take a moment or two after each conversation in particular and say, where did I get hung up? Where did I see success? Where did I see difficulty in my conversation? And if you realize, I keep getting stuck at the humanity of the preborn because I keep forgetting to talk about the human rights argument. Or, I'm a master of the human rights argument. Once I get to the humanity of the preborn, it's shooting fish in a barrel. But I have a hard time getting there because I'm struggling with bridging the gap. Understand where your strengths and weaknesses are and ask for help. Ask for help from the leader of your community group. Ask for help from Peter and I, or other people that you trust and that you value their wisdom in the movement, because this should be a gradual growth through your first 10, 20, 100, 200, 500 conversations. You should always be looking for opportunities to improve. Yes, it's wonderful that you're out there. Yes, holding a picture of a child killed by abortion is going to resonate in the hearts and minds of tons of people. It's going to be a pebble in their shoe, and that's great. But if you're reflecting on the outcomes and where you're having difficulty, you're only going to grow as an advocate. And so that's what I generally say, Peter, to people. What do you got for them?
That's great. And you touched on the pebble in someone's shoe. And that's probably the one piece of advice that I would like to give. I'm the type of person who likes to have a conversation and win the argument. You watch those YouTube videos and the title is like so and so destroys leftist or whatever it might be. I like that. That resonates with me. I want to destroy someone's argument, just totally take it down, dissect it completely, and show them that just the ridiculousness of the position that they held. But as we've talked about in the past, that's not the sort of conversation we're having on the streets. Our goal is to win people. Our goal is to see people turn from abortion, to see them actually change their minds, not to perpetuate the belief that people are never going to change their minds on the topic of abortion because it's so controversial and everyone's set in their beliefs. But we highlight from our experience and the experience of those we've worked with that you actually can change someone's mind. Now, on the topic of putting a pebble in someone's shoe, that's an idea and a concept that Greg Koukl put forward in his book Tactics, which he talks about just how to witness your Christian faith to those around you. And the idea is that you're not just changing someone's mind, but you're challenging them in such a way that you've kind of like put a pebble in their shoe. You've given them a little bit of discomfort that they have to deal with, they have to think about, they have to face, even after they leave the conversation. Now, some of the pebbles that we put in people's shoes could be the abortion victim photography that we show. It could be a question where we trot out the toddler and kind of show the similarities between the preborn children and the born and ask why there should be a difference. It could be the question, don't you think that all humans should get human rights, and how can you believe that and support abortion, which ends the lives of human beings? So we want to change someone's mind. We want every conversation to be 100% switch, 100% turn around. That person completely agrees with us. They're completely pro-life now. They were totally pro-choice and a pro-abortion before. Now they're with us. But what you want to do is just take that pressure off of you as you go in conversations. Be faithful in those conversations. Be nice and kind and gentle within those conversations, knowing that so many people that we have conversations with are dealing with the trauma and the effects of abortion. And ask those challenging questions. Reference the image that you're holding, that you're showing, and ask them what they think about abortion, and then leave the conversation in God's hands, as He often works in their mind once the conversation is over. We have stories where we've gone back to high schools, we've gone back to universities, had conversations with the same people we had weeks ago or months ago, only to find out that they changed their mind during that period, not in conversation with us, but because they left the conversation with that pebble in their shoe, that challenging question, the image of what abortion was, the kindness that the pro-lifer showed to them, and over time they changed their position because they couldn't see that image and see what abortion was, and at the same time support abortion. And so they had to work through that. They had to work through that by themselves. They had to work through that in their own mind. And so take away the pressure of changing everyone's mind and go there trying to put a pebble in someone's shoe, and then leave the conversation in God's hands. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Pro-Life Guys podcast. If you want to learn more about the abortion war, if you want to hear some great conversations that we have with some of our pro-life heroes, or if you want to learn apologetics, how you can winsomely and effectively and compassionately have conversations on abortion so that you too can see someone change their mind and see lives saved, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our new content.